unacceptable. Immediately after the first shooting, if you remember, Trump called for unity, telling people not to point blame across the aisle. A very measured tone, but not so now. What do you make of Trump and J.D. Vance's comments this time around, blaming Harris and Biden for what happened?
Well, we could play a game of whataboutism, so I'm just going to make this point. If Donald Trump's rhetoric led to January 6th in the minds of the media and Democrats, certainly the incredibly incendiary and violent rhetoric that has come from Democratic elected officials, of which there is a long list, bears some responsibility. I think Trump was magnanimous after the first time. After the second time, I would say I think any of us would be incensed that there is no call that political violence in general should be dismissed, but specifically telling people to stand down, shooting the candidate of the Republican Party. That is really what Democrats and our elected officials should be doing at this point, given the grave danger it poses to our electoral process and to faith in our free and fair elections.
Rohini, do you agree with that the blame rests here also, maybe if not on the whole, but at least partially on the rhetoric that we've been hearing from Biden and Harris?
So I'd fundamentally disagree with that. I first want to thank you for having me on here. I think this is a bigger picture that we need to look at. It's not just this one assassination or even two that stand alone. It's the last 6 years. We've come to the cusp, which is the most enormously divisive in US policy, US society. And this is a continuation of whether it's the January 6th insurrection or whether it's mocking Nancy Pelosi's husband's near fatal injury, whether it is putting US election workers at death risk, whether it is Trump calling for General Mark Milley, his 20th Joint Chief of Staff, a punishment equivalent to execution for disloyalty, or a bunch of hate spewing demagoguery, which is Trump's fundamental platform. That is really what he stands for. That is the basis of his popularity and the basis of the MAGA movement. But it's not only Trump and his demagoguery and the fealty of, Musk or Vance or whoever his sycophants may be. But there are two other things that are equally important. The second is the silence of the Republican Party, which is allowing him to get away with this kind of divisiveness and equally fostering it just in the name of power over fundamental values. And the third is that the US is such an unfettered, ridiculous gun rights nation, which, takes an antiquated aspect of its constitution and allows people without background checks, without licenses to own assault rifles. So you add this up, and naturally, this is what it comes to, not only in elections, but across the board.
Right. Jaden, just taking a bit from what Rohini just said there, if the aim is to calm things down, bring down the temperature, then such kind of remarks will just, to me at least, have the opposite effect, because by virtue of saying no one has tried to kill Harris, for example, isn't that in fact actually inciting more violence?
I think that's a really neat conceit that that the Biden administration and the White House did there. I think it is a valid point. No one on the right is attempting to kill the Democratic nominees. And what that tells us is the rhetoric that is coming from the left that says that Donald Trump needs to be eliminated, that he is a threat to democracy. And this is not limited to Donald Trump. Let's not forget that Steve Scalise and congressional Republicans were almost completely eliminated by a Bernie Sanders supporter. And it was the type of rhetoric saying that they were fundamentally dangerous to our republic back then that drove a crazed person to do it. So I'm not blaming Democrats only. I certainly believe that many things that Republicans have done have contributed to this. Much like the immigration issue, there is blood on both of the parties' hands here in terms of their rhetoric. We need to get back to discussing policies, but I will say one point. There's been one successful assassination of a former head of state in the last decade, and that has been in Japan, which is some of the most strict weapons laws on the books. And so crazed people will do crazed things, and they are driven by rhetoric.
Yes, indeed. This does bring up about questions about gun control here in the United States. But Jaden, before I go to Rohini, I just want to ask you, get your reaction on what Elon Musk said. Do you think that, in your opinion, he crossed the line this time around?
I think Elon Musk typically crosses the line, and he at least deletes his posts and realizes maybe it wasn't done in good faith. But Elon Musk is a converted Donald Trump supporter. As far as I'm aware, he's not really a member of the Republican Party, or really someone who that we would argue speaks for the president. I think he speaks for himself, his own business interests, and at least how he wants to see the United States be policy-wise.
Rohini, what do we make of the Secret Service handling of the situation? The acting service director, he said that whatever his agency did was effective. He also went on to point out that Trump's visit to the golf course was unplanned, potentially implying that his agents had to basically figure it out on the fly. In your opinion, how do you think the Secret Service managed it all?
I would love to talk to that, and I'll come back to it. I just want to complete the point that you'd raised earlier about Elon Musk. I think that he's taken a book literally from the Vance-Trump playbook. If they can go around spreading lies and hate speech about Springfield, that's just one latest example with 33 bomb threats, schools, colleges, hospitals closed. Or if they can tweet that if they can, by they I mean Vance and Trump, if they can tweet that Harris and Biden are the enemy from within, or that Mike Pence needs to be hung, or that General Milley should be executed, that's the kind of thing that is setting the tone for Musk and other Republican leaders who play this by the same playbook. On the Secret Service, it's an interesting point. This is a group of 3,000 incredibly trained, very qualified agents, but they are tasked with taking care of every former president, candidate, and the current president. So they are stretched. And given this political climate, I'm sure they're going to be stretched even more. And 50 days is going to play out fascinatingly, I think. So I do know they're undergoing reform from top to bottom. They're trying their best to ramp up to cope with this climate. But I don't think we can blame what's going on the Secret Service. It's the environment of political divisiveness that's been caused. That is the dog whistle for the Republican Party and Trump that's causing all of this.
Right. Rohini and Jaden, we'd have to leave it there for now. Hope to talk to you again in the coming weeks. Thank you so much for your time. Now, moving on to other news, Donald Trump has launched his family's cryptocurrency venture. Trump did not discuss specifics about the new business or how it would work, pivoting from questions about cryptocurrency to talking about artificial intelligence or other topics. Other speakers after Trump included his eldest son, talking about embracing cryptocurrency as an alternative to what they allege is a banking system tilted against conservatives. NDTV's Parmeshwar Bawa has those details.
The former US President Donald Trump seems to be capitalizing on the spotlight from his ongoing White House campaign. The Trump family has pledged to make finance great again with a new family-run crypto endeavor called World Liberty Financial, and they really turned up the volume on their promotion. But given the nature of the project, it might just stir up some debates about constitutional issues. They hosted a lengthy 2-hour live stream on social media platform X, teasing the announcement of World Liberty Financial to his over 90 million followers. He spoke broadly about the blockchain industry, the success of his NFT collections, and crypto's generational learning curve. But the catch? The stream was quite vague on the specifics. While the platform is reportedly being described as a decentralized finance money market or a platform where people can borrow, lend, and earn interest on crypto, Trump did not personally speak about the project he is launching before turning the stream over to his sons and partners. What we know is they're introducing a governance token named WLFI. This token is unique because it's non-transferable and won't generate any yield. Its sole purpose is to allow holders to vote on decisions related to the project's development. 63% of the supply will be sold to accredited public investors with no pre-sales or VC allocation, project partner Chase Hero has said. Another 17% will be set aside for rewards, while the remaining 20% will be held by the project team for compensation. Trump is billing World Liberty Financial as a chance to make finance great again. But for the Trumps, some assert that it's nothing more than an endorsement deal, but the optics of a presidential candidate launching a new company could make cryptocurrency policy an election issue after all. One big question on everyone's mind is, if this WLFI token is non-transferable, what's the incentive for buying it? With no ability to trade or earn from it, the crypto community will definitely be curious about the value and purpose behind this token. The other burning question is whether a sitting president could even be associated with such a business. Parmeshwar Bava for NDTV.
Let's take a closer look at the story now. Joining us is Dr. Vishal Saraswat, cryptocurrency expert. We're also joined by Irina Sukumin. She's a national security attorney and a geopolitical analyst. Irina, let me come to you first. Let's just kick it off with that last question raised there in the story that we just heard. This Trump venture comes just barely 50 days before an election. On the campaign trail, Trump has made it amply clear that he's going to do everything he can to get a very favorable policy for crypto if he becomes president. How concerned are you that his company will stand to benefit if Trump comes into the Oval Office?
I think it's a very real concern. This is highly unusual for a president to be launching a private venture so closely associated to the policies he's advocating and so close to the election. Now, there is no law prohibiting the presidents from having private business while they're in office, but it is not customary to do so. Both President Reagan and President George H.W. Bush had moved their personal wealth into trusts upon taking office. And President Trump, during his first term in office, caused a bit of a havoc by not doing that. He reallocated his businesses to his sons rather than into a trust, which raised a lot of questions about conflicts of interest. It's not technically illegal, but the ethics of it are highly questionable.
Vishal, similar question to you here. Now, the U.S. regulator, the Securities and Exchange Commission, has been cracking down on the crypto industry. It's arguing that nearly all cryptocurrencies need to be regulated like stocks traded on Wall Street. But if we have Trump in the White House, we could see regulations that are softer on such requirements. Would you agree with that argument?
Yes. If you look at Trump when he was the president, at that time he actually opposed crypto. He was against crypto. He was very strict that, okay, there should be regulations and so on. But over these last 4 years, he has changed his stance, which could be influenced just because his sons or his friends, they have gotten into crypto business. So, we don't know why he has changed his stance, maybe just because he has got a lot of donations from the crypto industry. So, yes, that is certainly a concern that he may go softer on the regulations, and which may not be, as strict as they should be.
As robust or strong, indeed. Yeah. I mean, now the two entrepreneurs behind Trump's family venture are two men by the name of Chase Hero and Zachary Folkman. Now, Hero has described himself as the dirtbag of the internet, and Folkman used to teach classes on how to seduce women. All of this reported. What do we really know about these guys?
Well,
frankly, of course, we have.
Irina, go ahead.
They very much Yes, sorry. They very much fit the profile of the types of personalities that Trump has attracted to himself. Part of the reason is that he's really not knowledgeable about the industry at all, and he is also only looking for the celebrity factor. Another part is that he's been deliberately trying to attract this sort of kind of macho vibe, which sometimes goes hand in hand with really unscrupulous actions. I mean, this sort of activity reminds me of Andrew Tate, who also was once perceived as a legitimate influencer and internet TikTok personality until he was charged with assorted crimes, including human trafficking. I certainly hope this will not turn out to be the case, but these sort of guys don't bring in a vibe of credibility to a very risky business that's already confronting a lot of controversies, frauds, and challenges. They give up a vibe of fraud at the very least.
Yeah, I just want to ask a little bit more about that credibility issue. Vishal, I'll just come to you in a moment, but Irina, again to you here. Hero and Zachary were reportedly behind a similar sounding effort that only lasted a few months. Doe Finance. A hacking attack took down Doe that stole all the funds in it. How can people really trust a venture like this time around, even though it has Trump's endorsement?
This sort of venture does bring in very serious national security concerns, not only financial regulation, but they're very likely to attract hackers. Cryptocurrency's been targeted particularly by North Korean hackers and spies who are gathering not only information on crypto wallets with the effort to hijack the currencies, but also gathering personal data from people's devices. That's just the most recent scandal. There's been multiple, of course, other attacks from other parts of the world. And of course, cryptocurrency exchanges have been involved in a number of scandals, frauds, and so forth, which also has attracted a lot of scrutiny. So somebody who has a reputation for negligible security measures and involved in a scandal will not likely give pause to investors.
Vishal, what's the role of Trump's family members in this whole venture? Trump's title, very interesting titles for all of them. Trump's title is Chief Crypto Advocate. Barron Trump, the 18-year-old son of Trump, is also got an interesting title. And Eric Trump and Donald Trump Jr. each described as Web3 ambassadors. What does all this really mean?
Well, this basically kind of also gives insight what's happening at this World Liberty, this company, that very likely Trumps are only brand ambassadors for the company. They are not the real participants. They are not really executives. And this particular company is using Trump's presidency campaign as an way to gain more investment or make more money. And these guys are just simply themselves making money by endorsing this particular company instead of having real stake in the company.
Right, that was Irina and Vishal there joining us this morning, throwing some insight there into Trump's latest venture on cryptocurrency. Thank you guys so much for your time. Hope to speak to you again at some other point. Well, that's a wrap here for US Election Watch. I'm Allister D'Souza in Washington, D.C.
No child should suffer the torture of trachoma, but so many are in pain right now. Nananga's lashes have turned inwards. They rip and tear away at his eyes. Pamelo's sight could be gone forever. He's just 3 years old. Kofanga screams for his mother. His eyes are so infected that he can't even see her. For so many children in the world's poorest countries, trachoma is torture. It's a painful infection often spread by flies. and it's destroying children's eyesight. But it could be stopped if you help today. By calling 0800 021 3925 and giving £2 a month to Sightsavers, you can help make sure children get the treatment they desperately need. You'll help us bring them the medicines and the care that can treat infections. And that means you'll be helping to save children from the torture of trachoma and a life of blindness. Please help us reach them. Call 0800 021 3925, text C7 to 82727, or go online and give just £2 a month now. Because we need you to help save the sight of children like Nananga. We need you to help save them from the torture of trachoma.
As a dad, I know life's unpredictable. It's all fun and games until it's not.
You okay?
I want my kids to always be looked after. That's why I'm not putting things off anymore and protecting the life we've built by calling Smart Insurance.
Hi, how can I help?
Hi, I'd like a quick quote, please.
Okay, you can choose a benefit amount up to £750,000 depending on your age.
Brilliant.
If you're a UK resident aged 18 to 64, you can apply with just a few health and lifestyle questions. For £250,000 of cover, the price starts at just £14.77 a month.
That's less than I thought. And could help my wife pay off the mortgage.
With our Smart Family Guarantee and 99% of claims having been paid, you'll have peace of mind.
That's good to know.
You'll also receive a 100% advance in the event of terminal illness and 10% cashback on your first year's premiums. That's the Smart Cashback. Plus, you get your choice of a £125 gift card.
Protect the life you've built the smart way. To get a free quote today, call our specialist UK team on 0800 977 6797 or visit smartinsurance.co.uk.
Whoever you are and whatever might happen, Remitly money transfers keep life moving. Because it's more than a transaction. It's a connection, a hug, or a hello, what's happening here? Send money to South Asia with Remitly. Send money that moves them. Download the Remitly app.
Some people think life slows down in your 50s, but I've got a few rounds left to go. And I don't want my lot to have to worry about funeral costs. Let them spend their money on nicer things. So I decided to learn more about over 50s life insurance from Cover Today. Cover Today are the only over 50s life insurer with no waiting period.